Here we're going to look at different voting methods and how a winner of an election could be determined in different ways. The methods we're going to look at are going to be the plurality method, the board account, the Hare system, and pairwise comparison. One thing that's really important to note is before an election takes place, it is critical to determine the method that's going to be used to determine the winner, because as you'll see in these examples, the method that's used can have a big influence on the outcome. To begin with, one of the most important things when we go down the road of voting methods is the idea of a preference list. In a preference list, each of the voters ranks the possible choices in the order that they prefer them, from first choice, second choice, and third choice. In this particular example, we have three different candidates, candidate A, candidate B, candidate C, and we've had all of our voters rank them in order of first choice, second choice, third choice, and we've put those in this table. Now you can see the different rankings. We've got A as the first choice, B as the second choice, and C as the third choice. And then some voters had C, then B, then A. Some voters had B, then C, then A. And some voters had B, then A, then C. These are the possible combinations that came out when we had our voters list them. Really important thing are these numbers here at the top of each column. This tells us the number of voters that rank the candidates in these ways. So what we're seeing here is that 8 voters rank the candidates with A first, B second, and C third. 7 voters rank them this way, 5 voters rank them this way, and then finally 1 voter ranked them this way. So altogether, we don't just have 4 voters here, we have 8 plus 7 plus 5 plus 1. We've got a total of 21 voters represented in this preference list. The first voting method we're going to look at is the simplest. It's the plurality method. And the idea here is that the candidate with the most first place votes is the winner. Simple as that. So here we have 3 candidates. We have candidate A, candidate B, and candidate C. And we just need to count up the number of first place votes that each candidate has. So I look over my preference list and I can see that candidate A has first place votes from these 8 people. So candidate A has 8 first place votes. Candidate B has first place votes from these 5 and from this 1. So candidate B has 6 first place votes. And then finally candidate C has first place votes from these 7 voters, so candidate C has 7 first place votes. So, by the plurality method, the winner of this election is candidate A with the highest number of first place votes. With the board account method, the first place votes are worth a certain number of points. The second place votes are worth less, and the third place votes are worth less. The lowest possible place where you could be ranked is always going to be worth 1 point. One step up from that will be 2 points, and the highest possible vote you could get will be 1 point higher than that. So here, in this particular setup, a first place vote is worth 3 points, a second place vote is worth 2, and a third place vote is worth 1. If we had 9 candidates, a first place vote would be worth 9 points, and so on. Let's take a look at how many points each candidate has received. So starting with candidate A, we can see that they have first place votes from 8 people. So that'll be 8 people giving them 3 points for each vote. And then candidate A has 7 third place votes. So that's 7 votes at 1 point each. And then they have 5 third place votes. And then finally, candidate A has 1 second place vote. We add these together, and that's the total number of points that candidate A has received. So let's see, we've got 24 plus 7 plus 5 plus 2, candidate A has a total of 38 points. Now we'll do the exact same thing with candidates B and C. The one with the most points is the winner. Candidate B has 8 second place votes. So that's 8 2-point votes. They have 7 second place votes. So that's 7 2-point votes. They have 5 first place votes. So that's 5 3-point votes. And they have 1 first place vote. So that's 1 3-point vote. So let's see, we've got 16 plus 14 plus 15 plus 3. So candidate B has a total of 48 points. Finally, we'll do candidate C. Candidate C has 8 third place votes. They have 7 first place votes. Those are worth 3 each. They have 5 second place votes, so that's 5 2-point votes. And then finally they have 1 third place vote, and so candidate C has 8 plus 21 plus 10 plus 1. Candidate C has a total of 40 points. So the candidate with the most points is our winner. And here candidate B has 48 points. So by the board account method, candidate B is our winner. Remember, when we did the plurality method, candidate A was our winner. With the same preference list, we have a different winner depending on the different method that is used. Now let's look at the Hare system on the next one. The Hare system is also sometimes called plurality with elimination. Here we look for how many first place votes does each candidate have. Whoever has the least number of first place votes, we eliminate them, and then we run it again. So let's take a look. To begin with here, we've got candidate A, candidate B, and candidate C. How many first place votes does each one have? And we've kind of been through this because we did plurality already, so you may remember, but candidate A has 8 first place votes. Candidate B has 6 first place votes, and candidate C has 7 first place votes. So once we know that, we can look at this, and instead of picking a winner right now, what we do is we say, well, whoever has the least number of first place votes, that candidate is eliminated. Candidate B has the lowest number of first place votes, so that candidate is eliminated. Now what we do is we get rid of candidate B in our table. What that means is the first place votes fall to the next person in line. So now when we reevaluate this and we say, okay, now this one is all done. So now in our second run, we look at candidate A and we see who has candidate A at the top of their list. Well, these 8 people have candidate A at the top of their list. So there's 8 first place votes there. And these people now have candidate A at the top of their list, so that's 1 more. So candidate A has 9 first place votes. Now let's take a look at candidate C and see how many first place votes candidate C has. These people have given 7 first place votes to candidate C, and now that B is gone, these 5 votes go to candidate C. Candidate C winds up with 12 first place votes. So now in this one, candidate A is eliminated. There's only 1 candidate left, and that candidate C, is our winner. Notice, we've used 3 different methods with the same preference list, and we've had 3 different winners. A won with the plurality method, B won with the board account, and C won with the Hare system. So choosing the method you're going to use to vote with before the votes are cast is extremely important. The final method we're going to look at in this video is called pairwise comparison, where each candidate is compared to each other one, sort of head-to-head matchups, and we see who wins them. So we're going to need to compare candidate A against candidate B. We're going to need to compare candidate A against candidate C. And finally, we're going to need to compare candidate B against candidate C. Those are the three comparisons we're going to have to make. So when we look at A against B, we're going to see how many people prefer A to B. C is irrelevant in this one. We're just looking at who prefers A over B. And so if we look at our first column, we can see that these 8 people prefer A over B. In the next column, these 7 prefer B over A. So B gets those 7 voters. Then the 5 voter column, B is preferred over A by those 5. And then finally, B is also preferred over A by that 1. So here we can see that 8 people prefer A, 13 people prefer B, so B is the winner of that comparison. The way this works to decide, so how do you decide the overall winner if you're doing these head-to-head comparisons? Well, you kind of keep track of how many times each candidate wins a head-to-head matchup. And B just got 1 win in a head-to-head matchup. Now we'll compare A against C. So when we compare A against C, how many people prefer A? How many people prefer C? Well, these 8 prefer A over C. So A gets those 8. These 7 have C ranked higher than A. So C gets those 7. These 5 prefer C over A. So C gets those 5. And then finally this 1 prefers A over C. So A gets that 1. A has a total of 9. C has a total of 12, so C wins that head-to-head matchup. Finally, we need to do a head-to-head matchup with B against C. So we've got to compare the people that like B over C. Get rid of all our markings from before. And let's see here. These 8 prefer B over C, so B gets those 8. These 7 prefer C over B, so C gets those 7. These 5 prefer B over C, so B gets those 5. And this 1 prefers B over C, so B gets that 1. C has 7, B has 14, so B wins that head-to-head matchup. So in our head-to-head matchup, B won the most of them. So by using pairwise comparison, B is our winner. Those are 4 different voting methods, and you'll notice they don't always give us the same winner. So it's very important to know the voting method you're going to use before you start your election.